Hello everyone, welcome to Current Affairs for Beginners. Let's start our today's session. First we'll see answers for the questions from our yesterday's video. The first one is, consider the following statements. An interim budget is a complete set of accounts including both expenditure and receipts. This statement is correct and it is made by the government just before the election. Both the statements here are correct, so the answer here is C. The next question is, with regard to Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, consider the following statements. Houses under this scheme will be allotted preferably to the female member of the family. Yes, it is a pro-female scheme. And the next one is, it also provides benefits to middle income groups. Yesterday we have seen that the beneficiaries under this scheme were 3 people. Economically weaker sections, low income groups and middle income groups. All these 3 were the beneficiary groups under this scheme. So as both the statements are correct, the answer here is C. Both are correct. Now let's start today's session. Our first article is, China halts gene editing activities on babies. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of science and technology. From this article we are going to see what is meant by this gene editing. Gene editing or genome editing is a way of making specific changes to DNA of a cell or an organism. How this genome editing will happen? We are saying that genome editing means making specific changes to our DNA. How can we make these changes to the DNA? An enzyme will cut the DNA at a specific sequence. And when this is repaired by the cell, a change or edit is made to this sequence. This process is known as gene editing. What are these enzymes? These enzymes are also known as engineered nucleases. DNA is inserted, deleted or replaced in the genome of a living organism using these enzymes that are engineered nucleases or also known as molecular scissors. At present, there are 4 families of engineered nucleases that are being in use. One is meganucleases and the other one is zinc finger nucleases. The third one is transcription activator like effector based nucleases, and the fourth one, which is in use, is clustered regularly interspaced short palindrome repeats, that is CRISPR-Cas system. All these are gene editing tools, because using these tools only we are going to edit the gene by cutting the DNA at the specific or a desired location. The next one is walking the tightrope. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of international relations. From this topic there are 2 things that we are going to see now. One is International North-South Transport Corridor and the other one is Chabahar Port. First let us see about this International North-South Transport Corridor. The International North-South Transport Corridor is the multimodal transport system. Multimodal in the sense rail, ship and road route for transporting cargo between India, Iran, Russia and Europe. Now if we see the route of this corridor, it will connect Mumbai city in India through Chabahar and Bandar Abbas ports of Iran with Baku, that is Azerbaijan, to Moscow in Russia and various other countries in Central and Eastern Europe through Caspian Sea. This project has been started in 2000 with an aim to build the shortest multimodal transportation route by linking the Indian Ocean and the Persian Gulf to the Caspian Sea through Iran and St. Petersburg in Russia. The main objective of this corridor is to increase trade connectivity between the major cities like Mumbai, Moscow and various other European cities. And the estimated capacity of this corridor is 20 to 30 million tons of goods per year. Actually, this was planned to connect Indian Ocean and Persian Gulf to the Caspian Sea through Iran and then to St. Petersburg, and from there to Northern Europe through Russia. But the route primarily it involves moving this cargo from India, Iran, Azerbaijan and Russia. Now if we see how is this corridor going to benefit India, this will help in facilitating India's economic integration with Eurasian economies and other countries in the surrounding regions. And if India partners with the Eurasian Economic Union, it will enhance and expand India's economic, trade and investment opportunities in more countries in that Eurasian Economic Union. And if we see the natural resource access, what about it? This will help India to tap abundant natural resource potential of Central Asian countries for its energy security. These countries are having rich deposits of petroleum, natural gas and uranium, along with the deposits of fertilizer inputs like potash. So India will get access to these natural resources through this corridor. And if we see exports, many sectors in this region are becoming increasingly service oriented, which will benefit India to export India's expertise in information technology and IT enabled services to these countries, so that it will increase our exports. Now we'll see about this Chabahar port. Where is this Chabahar port located? This Chabahar port is located on the Makran coast, Chabahar in the southeastern Iran. Its location lies in the Gulf of Oman here, and it is the only Iranian port which has direct access to this Arabian Ocean. So why this port is of interest to India? Here India believes that this port is critical to its interests and wants to develop this as a counter to Pakistan's Gadar port, which was being built with Chinese assistance. China is assisting Pakistan to build this Gadar port. And this Chabahar port will allow India to bypass Pakistan to transport goods to Afghanistan and Central Asia using a sea and land route. To Afghanistan and Central Asia. This Chabahar port lies in the Persian Gulf in Iran and will help India to expand its maritime commerce in this region. This port will cut transport costs and time for Indian goods by 1/3. And just now we have seen about International North-South Transport Corridor. This corridor will boost India's access to Iran, the key gateway to the International North-South Transport Corridor that has sea, rail and road routes between India, Russia, Iran, Europe and Central Asia. This corridor will boost import of iron ore, sugar and rice to India from Afghanistan, and this will also help to reduce import cost of oil to the India. India, Iran and Afghanistan, all these three countries have signed a three-way land transit agreement on Iran's strategic southern port of Chabahar. Under this agreement, India will invest up to $500 million in the deal to develop this Chabahar port, so that this access will increase the flow of commerce throughout the region and its economic fruits will also expand trade, attract investments, build infrastructure, develop industries, and the most important thing is employment. It will create jobs. India will get sea and land access route to Afghanistan by bypassing Pakistan, which will open opportunities for Indian companies to explore Afghanistan's mineral wealth. The next article is Nothing Secret About Thas Vision Document. From this article, we are going to see about UNESCO. This comes under GS Paper 2 under the topic of various international organizations. Now let's see about this UNESCO. United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. This was founded in 1945. According to this agency, peace can be built. Peace can be brought into the minds of people through 4 ways. One is education, social and natural science, culture and communication. These are the 4 means through which peace can be built in the minds of men. Today, this agency functions as a laboratory of ideas. It is a lab of ideas and it is a standard setter for universal agreements on emerging ethical issues. And this organization will also serve as a clearinghouse for spreading and sharing of information and knowledge, while helping the member states to build their human and institutional capacities in diverse fields. That is, to develop all the member states. This organization has 195 member states as its members. So this will help these member states to build their human power and institutional capacity in various fields. So to put it simply, this will promote international cooperation among these 195 countries and its associate members in the fields of education, science, culture and communication. In this agency, the executive board is the top decision-making body. India is a member of this executive board. The next article is Hulett. This article comes under GS Paper 3 under the topic of environment. From this article, we are going to see what is meant by this heat wave. Heat wave is a period of abnormally high temperatures more than the normal maximum temperature that occurs especially during the summer season in northwestern parts of India. And these heat waves, they typically occur between March and June, and in some rare cases they will even extend till July. The extreme temperature and the resultant atmospheric conditions will adversely affect people living in these regions because they cause psychological stress and sometimes they even result in death. Heat wave has a power even to kill a person. The next one is, here we'll see about United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. What is this? It is an international environmental treaty that was signed in 1992 with an objective to stabilize the greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere at a level that will prevent dangerous consequences. And the role of this UNFCCC, this convention is, it will provide a framework to the member countries for negotiating specific international treaties. It will provide a framework for the member countries to negotiate international treaties, which are also called as protocols, that will aim to set binding limits on the countries on greenhouse gas emissions. This convention will not put any binding limits, but it will help the countries. It will provide a framework for the countries to make a protocol that will set binding limits on greenhouse gas emissions on the countries. So if we see the legal effect of this convention, the treaty is considered as legally non-binding because the treaty itself will set no binding limits on the greenhouse gas emissions for the individual countries. So what about this COP, that is Conference of Parties of this convention? This is the supreme decision making body of this convention. All the states which are all parties, which are all members of this convention, they are represented at this Conference of Parties. So what they will do is they will review the implementation of any legal instruments that this Conference of Parties has adopted. Only thing it will do is it will promote effective implementation of this convention. From its inception in 1997, the Kyoto Protocol, in the third Conference of Parties meeting, this Kyoto Protocol was concluded, and this Kyoto Protocol has established legally binding obligations for developed countries to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. The next article is Rupee is now at 69.85. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. From this article we are going to see about what is meant by this appreciation of a currency. Appreciation of a country's currency means increase in the value of that country's currency. If we say that Indian rupee has appreciated towards the dollar, that means it will take few Indian rupees to purchase $1. For example, let us say that in the last week $1 is equal to 70 rupees, and after a week if you find that $1 is only 60 rupees, that means the value of rupee has increased, because to purchase $1 we are using few Indian rupees. Comparing to last week we are using 10 rupees less. So which indicates that the value of our rupee has increased. Then what would be the consequences of this? If Indian rupee appreciates relative to this dollar, then Indian rupee will become less competitive in the international markets, especially in US market, because with less amount of rupees we were able to buy more goods than the previous. So now it will increase. This will lead to larger import of American goods and services, but as our value of rupee has increased, they have to spend more to purchase our goods. So this will decrease our exports of Indian goods and services. Now let's see our today's questions. The first one is on CRISPR-Cas9 and the other one is on I've given ports and their location. Try to answer these questions and tomorrow we'll see detailed explanation for these questions. This is our Law Excellence website where you can access the notes for this video, and this is our official Telegram channel where you can access various materials and videos by Law Excellence. Thank you.